Hey guys, David again. I just did uploaded a video not too long ago, but I wanted to do another one. Just finished watching Jonathan Piper X1X's latest video, and I just would like to ask all of you to say a prayer for him. He received a kind of a scary letter from the National Health Service over in Great Britain, and he's very concerned. In fact, he mentions being in panic mode. So I just want you to would like to ask you to pray for him and pray for a good outcome and for mainly his peace of mind. I think right now he's got a few days before he can go in for some further testing, but he really needs our prayers. Just wanted to start off with that. Secondly, I'd like to change the subject to 4th of July, Independence Day, which is today here in America. And I'd like to talk about some of my feelings or memories from the 4th of July, why it's always been a special holiday for me. Um, when I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My mom worked full time, and so I stayed with my grandma. She had a daycare facility, a nursery, she called it. I was there growing up as a kid, so I was at her house every single day. As I got older, when I was about 11, I got a newspaper route, so I would deliver my newspapers in her neighborhood every day, and every afternoon the papers came then in the afternoon, so you'd spend the summer afternoons out on your bike throwing newspapers, which is I have a lot of good memories about those times. We did that for about 6 years actually, and all the way until I was about 17 years old in high school. So, but during all that time, 4th of July was one of those days when the newspaper would come, and I couldn't wait to get finished delivering my newspapers because I knew the 4th of July was always a special time at my grandparents' house. Um, it was a time when my grandmother would mix up the homemade ice cream mix. The recipe that they used always used a sweetened evaporated, milk or sweetened condensed milk. So I don't remember what else was in the recipe. The normal things, I'm sure: sugar, vanilla, eggs, and some regular milk, I'm sure. But I just remember her getting the stuff ready, and she had an old White Mountain ice cream freezer that she purchased. It was an old hand crank model, but the thing was itself was just a thing of beauty. It's like an industrial strength ice cream, maker. But I remember going with my grandpa after I finished my newspaper out. He would take me in his car. We'd drive down to a place called it was basically an ice house here in Bakersfield that had been there for a long time. Um, the actual ice plant, um, they still produced ice, but they didn't. They just had a machine basically in the front where you could go and buy these big blocks of ice. So I'd go with my grandpa. He'd get these big blocks of ice. We'd take him home, and he would spend what seemed like a long time in his garage. He'd put the block of ice in a big wheelbarrow, and I still have that wheelbarrow. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. We use it it's in our garden right now as a planter. It's falling apart. It's all rusted and it's about ready to give out. But thing's been around my entire life, and I'm 62, so I don't know when he bought it. But he would take that big block of ice, and he'd spend a long time in his garage, basically breaking that up. But I remember him shaving off bits of the ice to make the finest ice possible from that big block. And he would do that. My grandpa had a lot of experience with ice. He was an iceman in Kansas when he was a young man. Sorry, gotta light my pipe. So he would spend all this time chipping this ice away to get it to the perfect consistency. And then he would put of course, the ice cream mixture in this big metal chamber and load up all that ice and rock salt in there. And he would start cranking that thing. And it was usually done in the evening. Um, he and my Uncle Dean um, would take turns cranking the ice cream maker. And I was always close by because I found it to be quite interesting, the whole process. But I remember when they would crank that thing for a long time. When it would get really hard to crank, they'd have me sit on top of the ice cream freezer to weigh it down. So they'd continue cranking, and I'd sit on top of the thing and just do that until it was finished. Then my grandpa would take off the turning mechanism and put burlap bags on top of the whole outfit to so the ice cream harden, continue hardening. Um, then we'd do our fireworks, and back then we just had sparklers. I just remember lighting sparklers back in those days. So we'd do sparklers and then enjoy that wonderful homemade ice cream. He always made vanilla. Um, I remember neighbors that they had. It was an older couple, Sammy and Eva Thompson, and they would also make homemade ice cream. So a lot of times we'd get together with them and share the homemade ice cream. I remember that they had made some kind of banana nut ice cream, which was really great. But I remember sampling some of that and sitting around just talking with all these people, having a great time into the evening on the 4th of July. No fancy fireworks, just sparklers, but just a lot of really good conversation about the old days because they were all, my grandpa, well, he died when he was 75, so he was probably in his late 60s for most of my memories, which seemed like an old man at that time. Of course, now I'm 62. 62 doesn't seem that old to me now, but it sure did then. But I just remember those wonderful times of the 4th of July at my grandma and grandpa's house with all the relatives, my aunts and uncles coming over, mainly my Aunt Debbie and Uncle Dean and their kids when they were young and just babies. So those are some of my 4th of July memories um, from my childhood. Which, as I got older, things changed. My grandma and grandpa did that for a long time. My grandpa, though, passed away in, I think, 1979 or 1980. So at that point, I was in high school and I went on to do other things. Me and my friend Travis would go to, they had a big fireworks display at local junior college, Bakersfield College. We'd go up there and watch those fireworks, the big fireworks display. And then sometimes, as soon as those fireworks stands would open, now they opened about a week beforehand at that time. I just remember saving my newspaper route money and going and buying little fireworks and bringing them home and putting them in a shoebox and just looking at those things. We weren't allowed to do anything until the 4th of July, but I remember just stopping by that fireworks stand a few times between when they opened and when they closed on the 4th, buying little fireworks each chance I could when I would collect enough newspaper route money to go buy those things. And one year I remember I bought a bunch of sparklers, and somehow I learned that you can make a sparkler bomb, which much to the chagrin of my neighbors back then. But you basically get a bundle of sparklers together. Now these were the old time sparklers. They had a lot more. There was a lot more to them than the current sparklers, which are weak and kind of, you know, only a half-baked version of what they are now. But I mean, nowadays we have a half-baked version of what they used to be. But you get these sparklers and you'd bundle like 10 of them together, and it'd be kind of like a little bundle. You'd take one sparkler and extend it out the top about an inch or two. Then you'd wrap the rest of those in filament tape, which I don't see very often, but it was a very strong type of tape, and you just basically keep wrapping those things and seal them off good. And then you could basically light that top sparkler and run, because when that thing went off, it sounded a lot like an M80. And I remember blowing up a lot of things back in those days. One time in my mom's backyard, in our backyard, my friend Travis and I, of course we were older, so we'd blow up all sorts of things and send things flying everywhere. We were stupid kids, but it was fun back then. I remember the next door neighbor, came out and got onto us, said that we knocked a picture off of his wall. But we weren't to be stopped. We did it a few more times, and then I got a nice visit from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. And that was the end of that. He put the fear in me and my friend. I thought we were going to be taken to juvenile hall, which was the big fear. So he put an end to our bomb making, which is probably good because we probably wouldn't have ended up injuring ourselves. But it was fun while it lasted. Very exciting. I could have blown a hand off, but when you're a stupid kid, you're just having fun, not thinking about it. My mom was away at work, so she didn't stop me or didn't have the ability to intervene at that point. But the Kern County Sheriff's Department certainly did. I can still remember the look of the deputy that came out and visited us. He was a red-haired guy and he had braces. I remember my friend saying, why would an adult man have braces? Who knows, but he did. It didn't matter. He scared the heck out of us, and we didn't do any more sparkler bombs. But those are good memories. Well, hope you all have a good 4th. Remember to pray for Jonathan, and thanks for stopping by. God bless y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.